Hi, everybody. Oh, I'm all blurry again. This happened a few weeks ago. Let me turn my camera off for 1 second. Oof. All right, let's try this now. I'm just blurry tonight, guys. I'm not sure what's going on. Let me try one last thing here. Take it off. Ooh. And switch that off. Ooh, and now try. Oh, that is not any better. How's everybody doing today? Let me pop the chat up while I fix this. I look so blurry. I wonder why. Oh my goodness. It's a blurry day, I guess. Let me open the chat to everybody. There we go. Hi, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Thursday. Oh, my Zoom thinks I'm playing music. I guess maybe I'm slightly on key. I doubt it, but all right, let me fix this camera one more time. Off. It's going to be an interesting video for editing. Let me pop this back in. Oh, it's still in. Okay, good. And let's go back to this one. I have oh, there we go. I have, it is a fancier camera. I'm definitely clearer on this one than I was in the other one, but I still feel a little blurry. It could be my lighting though. Happy Friday Eve, Peggy. Yes. I'm feeling that this week. I'm feeling it, feeling it, feeling it. Look, I have a ring light over here. I don't really use that, but my kids now love to use it because I like to pretend to be YouTubers. It's fun. But Friday Eve, it's also the week before Halloween, 1 week away, which is very exciting. I know if you've been here before, you know you've heard me say it. Halloween is like my Christmas. I love it. It's very exciting for me. We go all out. We have big parties. It's a whole good fun time. So I'm excited that oh, my dog just opened my door. Hold please. Sorry. Out, please. Out, please. Sorry. That's Ellie. Sometimes she doesn't like when she's not in the room. I can't help that. Closed officially this time though. But anywho, welcome everyone. If this is your first time here, thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for spending your Thursday night with me. If you don't know me, let me start there. My name is Laura DeVega, and I am the Director of Agency Development at World Via Travel Network and World Via Travel Group. I have been in the travel industry for going on 14 years. I've been a travel advisor or a travel agent. I owned my own agency. I worked for a wholesaler for many years in their business development team, as well as ran the business development team for a short period of time. And now I am where I am now. One thing that I really loved, again, for if you've been here before, I'm sorry I'm repeating myself because you hear this every time, but I like everyone that's new to know. Something that I found when I was on the supplier end and speaking with so many agency owners was that there was not a space for professional development for agency owners. We do a lot about marketing, we do a lot about destinations, but there's never this like moment of conversations and sometimes the uncomfortable conversations. And I wanted to offer a space that is free, that people can come and learn more and learn how to grow their business and scale their business. Whether they're already in that process or they're looking to do it in the future, or even if you're just starting and seeing what you're getting yourself into, like this is what it's for. So if you are not new, welcome back. I am going to be less chaotic this week. If you were here last week, I felt a little chaotic. I rewatched, I was a little chaotic, so I apologize. But sometimes I'm feeling good energy, right? So I will say I have one last spooky presentation because just a heads up, I'm going to say it now. Oh, while I'm doing this, let me get the Facebook group. If this is your first time, I recommend you go and join our Elevate Your Travel Agency Facebook group. I'm going to share the link. Hi, Jerlyn. I'm going to share the link to the group in the chat. And when you go in there, all the past episodes, I think we're missing one or two. Hi, Christina. missing one or two in there just from some weeks when I wasn't available. But they are all on the works of getting themselves loaded up. I also started to try and feature some of the videos. So they sit at the top, but I just realized I never featured last week's and pinned it to the top, I don't think. So let me just do that really quick now. There's a ton of episodes in here. There's a ton more to come. That's a good place where you can get all that. And we approve all those if they come through. But let me click check to where I was. So like I was saying, I just want to let you guys know that the next few weeks after this one, there's going to be a little bit of pause. I am taking Halloween off to spend it with my small children. We're gonna go trick-or-treating, doing things, and I didn't want to interrupt anybody's schedule and do this on a different day. And then I am traveling the following 2 Thursdays after that. So technically I come home on the last Thursday, but it'd just be a little chaotic. So there's gonna be a 3-week break. We've done this before, we come back in, but it's a good time just to take a break from it. Go back and watch some of the old episodes. There's a bunch of them on there. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll remind you guys again at the end. But of course, because it's Halloween, I did the spookiest presentation yet. Not really, but you know what I'm saying. It's a little bit spookier each time. So what are we talking about tonight? We are talking about leading through industry disruption and like how to navigate change, right? We kind of talked about this before in different iterations and in different manners. Hi, Joanne. And we've talked about it kind of definitely a lot of the pieces that we're going to talk about tonight we've talked about before, but this is really a space where we're kind of bringing it all together. Our industry is just full of disruption at times, right? There's things we cannot control, whether it is weather, whether it is a political issue, whether it is unrest in a country, whether it is just like a property shutting down, a fire happening in a property. There's so many different elements that can kind of cause a disruption to the way you're operating your business, the way your advisors are operating their business, and also just where your clients might feel comfortable traveling to. So there's a lot of pieces when you're kind of looking at what makes sense and what to do for your clients and what's best for your clients, making sure you know how to navigate this and feel comfortable doing it, and also kind of some preventative maintenance to have your way out of this, right? So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. Again, as always, pop the questions in here. It makes it so much easier and so much more enjoyable for me when people are interacting in the chat and asking questions as we go along. I love having you all here. This truly is, I've said it a million times, I'll be honest, there's days, when they're long and you're like, oh, can I do it tonight? And then as soon as I get out, I just feel so good being here. I really enjoy doing this. I really enjoy talking about these conversations and creating space. And there's actually some of the episodes that we come up in the future. I have taken your feedback from last week in a few weeks, and we're going to incorporate some of those ideas in there. And I'm really excited about that. So if you have any ideas, pop them in the Facebook group or in this chat. But again, as we're going through tonight, just make sure that you pop any questions or anything you need in the chat and ask away. I'm a big proponent and I know as everybody is, but I don't believe there's a such thing as a stupid question. I know a lot of people say that, but I really mean it. You have to be comfortable asking these kind of things to feel comfortable growing yourself. So I say ask away, and I'm gonna go ahead and go and share my screen because if this is your first time, you can probably already tell I'm a bit of an animated speaker. So it just reads better when I do it that way. And I also like to see you guys when I'm talking. Beautiful. Okay. So leading through industry disruption, right? Big spooky house, right? Because it's kind of an uncomfortable conversation, right? I think that's, I did not intentionally pick this like in a sense for that reason, but I do kind of, it feels a little ominous, like a haunted house would, right? How you handle these things, how you approach this, what you go about it, how you can be proactive about it. So let's just get right into it. And I think the biggest thing that is so important in our industry, really in any industry, but I think in an industry that it changes almost constantly. Actually, I'll go back for a second. We'll get into this in a second, but we are the most consistently adapting and consistently changing industry, whether it be from hotels changing to room property names changing, or room property names changing, or restaurants in a property changing, or what was cool in one destination is no longer, or what you can't go there anymore. So many things. There is never a time. I think this industry is incredibly humbling, and it was very welcoming to me for this reason. When I first started, I started in a storefront location with 30-year agents, like 20 to 30-year agents. They were all vets. I was the baby. I didn't know anything. I really came in greener than green. And one, I was immediately pretty intimidated, but what was fantastic was pretty quickly I realized that within maybe 3, 4 weeks, they knew, because I was going to so many trainings and kind of building up my knowledge, that I was learning things that they didn't know. And it was very humbling, because I felt and had the confidence to be like, oh, I actually know the answer to that. Secrets is doing this, or I know the answer to that. Alma's doing this, which they didn't, because they were in the office and they were booking and they were busy. And it's just because of the way that the industry works, that it gives you that ability to have a little bit more knowledge, even if you're brand new, or you could be the owner of all knowledge if you're a 30-year veteran. It's very possible. But what it did is it made it an even playing field pretty quickly for me. I was able to learn from their knowledge of how they gain repeat clients and keep their people in place, and how they scaled their business. Well, I was able to teach them about updates that are happening in the industry and things that are changing. And then you're never prepared for natural disasters and stuff like that. So we handled all that together. So it was a really wonderful thing. So all this to say, long story to get to, adaptability is incredibly important when we're looking at leading through disruption, right? So there's, of course, the importance of adaptability, which is, again, and things that, why there is the need for adapting, right? Rapid changes in technology, right? That is a consistent thing. I always say that travel, like, we got the short end of the stick with technology, and, we're still working on, if you work in a GDS system, we're still working on like blue screens and coding and things, which is great, and it's what makes sense. But as far as like point and click systems, it's still even a little bit behind the times a bit. We're always fighting for that better technology, that cleaner technology. But they are, because we're always working so avidly to get better technology. There's a lot of updates consistently happening. I feel like every year, one wholesaler or another has a new booking system, or a new CRM system that somebody's offering, or a new like sales plan builder. Like, there's always something new to learn. There's always new technology, whether it's AI, which is so big right now. And there's so many different AI systems out there. There's even ones that are travel focused, and but it's smaller than that. It's even just the booking operating systems that people are operating with for their wholesalers or their webs or their hotels or whatever it may be. So it's constantly changing technology. Everyone's kind of trying to one up the other. It's technology on board things, especially if you're a big cruise seller. The technology on these ships are just changing left and right and getting better and better. It's really crazy to see and really impressive what they can do. And I think, it's a constant game with them, especially right now, because cruising is so hot and so exciting. They're getting a lot of money coming in. So I anticipate to see a lot of really cool innovations coming out of cruise lines in the next few years. I know a lot of the cruise lines have a lot of new fleets coming out of ships. So we'll see what kind of comes with them, because technology is ever changing in those spaces. Also, consumer preferences. And again, this even kind of ties into, like, last year, everybody was in Italy. I feel like everyone's in Greece this year. It really changes. I am a big believer it changes into what's popular on television is kind of where the trend will go, but it's not always the case. But you will see consumer preferences change from year to year. I used to always feel like, and I'm sure many of you that are veterans in here would feel like, some years I would only be booking Jamaica. The next year, and I was a big Fun and Sun seller for reference, but I would only be booking Costa Rica. The next year, I'd be only booking Hawaii, and it would just be these trends, because you see something, you go. So again, being adaptable. So if you're not as familiar with a destination, getting to know that destination, because you want to be able to still sell to the clients, even if you're not familiar with it, even if you're stuck in kind of the habits. And then this also kind of, even going back to the cruising, and I've said this on a few of these sessions, but if you are not currently selling cruising, why and what's holding you back? Or if you're not currently adjusting to, say, river cruising, why, what's holding you back? Like, taking these moments to learn outside and getting to these different destinations. And if it's because you've picked a niche, great, that's not a problem. Please stick in your niche if that's what you want to do. But if it's not, and you're just not comfortable, start feeling uncomfortable, start breaking yourself out of that. And then, of course, being adaptable to global events, right? So there's a lot of things that kind of fall into this. Of course, there's always things going on in different destinations. There's always different security levels that can change, that can make people feel uncomfortable. I always laugh though. Jamaica, I feel like poor Jamaica. I love Jamaica. I want to be clear. It's not everybody's favorite. I love it. It's one of my favorite of the most economically priced islands for you to travel to. And it cracks me up because every year they hit by, what is it, security level 4 or something, isn't it? And you'll always hear the clients go, I don't want to go to Jamaica. I heard it's at a level 4. And I always, is my favorite thing to be like, that's what the United States is too, right? And it's perspective for clients, right? But also just like regular global events. There's a lot of political things that can be happening and politically charged events that are happening in other countries. So one, just taking the moment to know the destinations you're selling, know what's going on in those destinations, making sure it makes sense for your clients, but also just being aware of what's going on in the world is incredibly helpful for these global events to know. And this isn't always necessarily political. This is, where are the Olympics? Where is the World Cup? These are huge events that take up huge spaces and affect inventory, affect the way the economy is going to run at that time, affect what they're able to see in these destinations at that time. Because it felt really exciting for everyone to go to Paris for the Olympics this year until they realized they couldn't access a lot of places because it was shut down for the Olympics, right? And it wasn't just for the Olympics, it was the weeks leading up because they had to make the accommodations and build things and just things people don't think through. And it's not intentional. That's what our job is for, right? So making sure you know those things. So just being adaptable and be willing to change, and also being able to shift sell people, right? Like switch sell. If somebody came to you with Paris this year and that was not the experience they were going for, where did you send them? What did you have in your back pocket to send them to? Because there's other places, or you say, we plan this for next year because this is not your year. You have to be able to have those conversations. It's really important for your adaptability. Then just relevance to the travel industry as far as adaptability. One, again, technology shifts like we just talked about. Technology is always shifting, whether it be through your consortia directly, through the wholesaler, or just your own personal choices. You might be wanting to expand your knowledge, learn something new, and there's ways to do that. Economic fluctuations, this is a big deal. And no matter what side of the political party you fall on, always during this time of year, on an election year, there is a downturn in sales. And if you didn't experience, good for you, happy for you. But I know I've experienced a few of them at this time, and it's a pretty consistent feeling. People are going to hold off until right around the election or the week or two before, and then the floodgates will open again. It doesn't matter any side. It's just people get a little tight and on their decision making, and they wait a minute, and that's just the consistency of how it goes. So just being prepared for those kind of economic fluctuations, but also the idea of the conversion of dollars, depending on where they're going, depending if it makes sense. If people are prepared to spend a certain amount of money and they are not prepared for the conversion rate of where they're traveling to, that's a conversation you as the travel professional should be having with them. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. So making sure they know what they're spending, what they're prepared to spend is really important. And then, of course, just consumer behavior, again, kind of going back to consumer preferences, but also like, what are we doing? And does the current the trend of way consumers are acting make sense for the way that you should be sending clients to, things like that. So just keeping all the factors in mind when you're thinking about adaptability for yourself and your business. So understanding change factors and what things that are come up. So we talked about technology a bit, but I want to talk about it a bit more and things that could help you or hurt you depending on how you invest into it, right? AI and automation. I talk about this pretty frequently, and I know AI scares some people, and people are in on it full stop. I think there's a happy medium. I think when things are fully AI'd, I can tell, I can read it from a mile away. But I think that when you take the time to use AI to brainstorm some of your ideas, it's incredibly helpful, and it saves so much time for you. I talked about this last week, but I went to a training a few weeks ago. Actually, oh my goodness, it was in the summer now, but it was for that. I won't say names because I don't want to sell something. That's not what I'm here for. I never want you guys to spend any money. But there is a travel focused AI system that's out there. You can look it up yourself. It's very user friendly. It's very cool. I sat in with the developer of that, the person who created it. And we, as agency owners, listed off a laundry list of things to do. And he said, what do you do with your day? And what takes up your whole day? And we listed it. And in about 5 minutes, he completed all of it right in front of our eyes, and it blew my mind. It changed my whole perspective on AI and what you use it for. So I am a proponent to this. I also think for the automation purposes and getting in the habit. I preach this to my team all the time. And I think it's really important. Setting up automations for yourself and setting up automations for your business are going to save you time and give you more time to work on your business and not in it. And so just simple of setting up automatic emails, setting up automatic responses, setting up automatic payments if necessary, setting up automatic postings of your social posts. All of this can be done, and all of the content that you need created for these automations can be created through AI that you just have to go in and edit after to make sure it sounds like you and make sure it makes sense. And that saves you so much time that you can be working on your business or working with your clients and growing your business. So definitely keep that in mind as you're, looking into what can affect these changes. This is a cool one. I tread both lines with this. Of course, you have to kind of be a little bit more savvy with these kind of things. Some people they were talking about virtual reality, like reality trip previews. It's a little harder to get your hands on, but I put it in here more so for just kind of talk about it and the fact of there are a plethora of room walkthroughs of specific resorts, especially if you're a sun and fun seller, or if you're a cruise seller, of you can see the room in real time. So if you have a client that is looking for a specific room category or looking for a specific hotel and destination, they want to see it. There is just so much of a wealth of information on YouTube or in general, like you can search for it, where you can pay, I want to see this exact room or this exact room category. You're going to walk through it. And what that does is it places your customer in the destination. I was raised in this industry on storytelling selling, and you tell a story first. Always, you put them in that spot, and then they're gonna have a hard time saying no because they can already see themselves there. Showing them what an actual room will look like they're gonna stay in it's a game changer. And same with the ships. There's a lot of ship tours on online and on YouTube. There is a lot of 3D videos on websites anymore for different hotels and different destinations, no matter where they're going. There's also just even the beauty of Google Earth and going on there and placing them in the destination where they're staying, getting them an idea of where they're at, surroundings. There's some really cool things to do. Virtual reality, of course, is a step in a very pricey direction. I will not lie that getting that, but I thought it was a cool idea. I've seen a few people do this where they actually put them in the destination. And it also just gives me a visual of like what we might be in 5 to 10 years. And I think that's pretty cool. And then just destination specific marketing. Again, when you're trying to adapt to changes and things like that, I think this is a helpful tool because if you see a trend happening in the industry and you want to be on, like, piggyback on that trend, a good way to do that is to specifically market that destination so people's interests are brought to it. It's what you're putting out on your socials, it's what you're putting on your website, so people are going to ask you about it. If you aren't producing content that is relevant to what you want to be selling, people aren't going to ask you about it, or they're going to think you don't sell it. I can't tell you countless times when I was still selling, I would have friends that they would go to Disney World and tell me all about it. I'm like, why didn't you call me that? They're like, I don't think you booked that. Did I love booking Disney? No, but I like money. And like same idea for any other destination. I can't tell you how many countless times be like, oh, you booked that? I can book anything. Like, and again, if you're more niche, it's definitely a different conversation. But if you're not, like, you should be making sure people know what you sell. So if you want to be selling something, do some destination, oh my goodness, destination specific marketing. This is really easily done by one, getting involved with some DMCs in the destinations that you want to work in, going to different supplier partners that have sell specific destinations. They have a lot of collateral about this. You can go to different tourism boards. They'll have a lot of information that you can use for your socials. There's a lot of great ways you can obtain this information and use it for your own marketing. Make sure if there is rules and regulations on how to use it, you follow them, but any of these places that will post these for you will have those rules and regulations. And then just some data-driven decision making and personalized marketing strategies. So I've talked about the data-driven decision making a few times. We had a whole session on profit drivers and how you should be adapting your business accordingly through change with using these ideas in mind. If you see you're seeing a dramatic downfall in Europe sales, Europe FITs. It's not working. Is what you want to sell, but it's not working. What are you selling? What is working for you? Because as much as we all want to dream and hope and we have things we want to sell, absolutely. But if it's not working at the moment, what is making you money? Now, if nothing's making you money right now, and I know that is a very realistic thing, and I worked through many years of making little to no money, I should say that, but I worked through those years for sure. What I had to do consistently was look at what I was selling and say, okay, this is making me money. This is making me money with little to no effort as well, because that's really important when you're factoring these things in. And this is what I mean by data driven. So I would go back and look and see, okay, I made this much commission when I'm booking this kind of trip, and I'm doing about 2 to 4 hours of work for this kind of booking. And then for an FIT, I'm making this much commission. I'm doing 12 to 24 hours worth of work, and it's significantly less than I was making for this. So as I picked my niche and I narrowed in on what I wanted to sell, I kept a lot of these factors in mind. I always had things in my back pocket that I knew I could sell and that I was comfortable selling, but it's so important to make sure you're taking that step back and looking at the data, looking at what makes you money. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that are really fun and exciting to sell, and there's ways to make money on everything. And I don't know if we did a service fees conversation here. I know I taught a class on service fees separate from here, but maybe that's something we should get into. I just want to make a note of that, because I am also a very big proponent on your time is worth money. And of course, when it makes sense, because sometimes you're competing with other markets and competing with other people. But if you have the opportunity to charge service fees, I say you do. We are the professionals. You would pay a professional to do other things in your life, so you are worth that value. Now, we do get paid from many of our vendors, and you should be getting paid. But if you are working, for example, I'll use it. I'll use Disney as an example, right? When I booked Disney vacations, I would just take the commission, and I would book the trip, and I would do the things. And this was back when you could still pre-schedule your fast passes that period of time. And so only going back like 8 years or so, it wasn't too that long ago. I know it's probably maybe 10, I don't know. Regardless, doesn't matter. So, but anytime I was having to schedule fast passes for them, get up at 6 a.m. and book their dining 6 months in advance, I'd say I'm more than happy to do this for you. And this was not at first. I had to get comfortable having this conversation, but I would say, if I'm doing this for you, do know that I do charge. I think what I ended up calling it was an experience fee of some sort, to be like, hey, I did this for you. I can't remember. Some people call it pixie dust fee. I love that, because it's just like giving all the extra dust. Anyways, it's different things for different situations. So with that, you can kind of choose to charge it, choose not to charge it. But I am a big proponent that when you're making your decisions and you're seeing what makes you money, think about those things. Because if you're not making a lot of commission on things, make sure to try and factor in to make the money that you earned on that hourly. I should do a service fee thing, because I do a whole breakdown of how your cost per hour works. Anyways, separate conversation. And then personalized marketing strategies also goes back into this. So I'm just taking the time when you see what makes you money, make sure you're marketing that, so that you're bringing those kind of clientele in. So now, other things, shifting your consumer preference, right? So there's a big increase in demand for experiential travel. Everyone wants to go on expeditions now, ecotourism. And that's a really cool product out there, is HX. If you don't know anything about it, they have scientists on board, really cool things. Wellness focused trips are huge still, they'll never go away. But so if that's something that you see is trending in an area near you, or you see as I highly recommend you get into it and learn more about it, because it is a trend in that direction. And I don't think nearly enough people are focusing on it. But what you can do is this is another example of seeing the demand for things and getting ahead of the curve. So taking that time just to learn about it, and then getting your clients to see it, and they're going, oh, that's very interesting to me. Oh, I think I'd like to do that. I didn't know anything, and I use HX as an example because I know it's a great product. I didn't know anything about it 2 years ago. Now I'm like, ooh, I like this. And it's on my list of things I want to do, and I tell people all about it. So things like that, getting to know these different kinds of experiences and what you could offer. is a really cool thing that you can start offering to your clients and getting ahead of the game with. Another thing is, I think this is a cool term, which is digital nomads or remote workers. Being involved in that, there is, what were they calling it? It wasn't work from during, kind of not really during the pandemic, but post pandemic and years leading after, there was a lot of like, you can work from anywhere campaigns, right? And some of those trailed off because let's be honest, a lot of people did have to go back to the office, but a lot of people did not. And the idea of a digital nomad is more the idea of like they're creating digital content, or they're like many of you who can work from literally anywhere. So it's capitalizing on those people and creating experiences for them where they can keep traveling and keep doing what they are like their work, and creating like almost crafting experiences around it. So what are they, what do they work in? Does it make sense to send them to Europe or to Australia and build around it? For remote workers, giving them opportunity to work somewhere, they have a great Wi-Fi, they have a great business center, whatever it may be, so they can work their regular hours and then go enjoy the rest of their time. Work-life balance is so incredibly important. And so if they have the capability to do it, sell it to them. There's some really cool things that are happening. I know some people think this kind of died out, but I have a lot of friends. I have a couple of friends that are currently just traveling all over the world for over a 6 month period of time, and they're just taking their work with them. And I think that's insanely cool. Of course, with the allowance of your job and making sure you're allowed to do it, but offering these kind of things to these kind of workers is something that they may not even thought about, may not even thought they were capable of doing. Not everybody can too, let's be clear, but it's just some cool things on like you're kind of shifting that experience for them, giving them different options, and showing what's available to them in different times. And then, of course, preference for personalized, authentic experiences and traditional tour packages. So this is really going down like the FIT market. If it's something you haven't really gone down before, this is, taking some time to learn about destinations more specifically, but also learning about what your client wants to do. So, and a great example of this is, having someone that might want to go to London, but they aren't there to go to London to just go to the touristy moments. They want to go in like the specific experience. Say they're a Beatles lover, and that's I'm really like scraping at the low hanging fruit here, but and you're curating that experience around that. Or a popular one that comes up more often is like the Lord of the Rings lovers, like taking them to the destinations that are the scenes for these movies. Or Harry Potter is a big one, right? Take them to the scenes where these were created after, immersing them in experiences, curating content around it. There's also some really cool things happening right now with authors on some of the river cruise ships, where they're bringing authors on board. So if you have a book lover, put them on board with the author that they like, that they get these really cool experiences, these like very boutique experiences with an author that they love. And then there's also people that are like creating things around. I know, I don't know if he's on here, but I know an advisor within our network is like creating specifically trips for people who like to pickleball, like who participate in pickleball, which is like a cool, very niche thing. So he looks into resorts that have pickleball courts. He looks into cruise ships that have pickleball courts, and he offers this out to this pickleball group that he has in his local area, and he's filling trips with this. So it's like finding the niches that make sense. And of course, I always think like you having some relevant investment in that kind of niche makes things a lot easier. But again, it's just like when things get stuck and things get difficult, it's like working outside the box a little bit to see what else you can offer and stay on trend and keep your niches open. And like I said, making things personalized so that the person down the street can't also be selling this. So it gives you that like outside the box situation. So then, impact of global events. Keeping these things in mind is, of course, different like factors of change that can come up. So, of course, we cannot control pandemics or political instability or environmental things, right? So, things to think about. Always just, you never know what could happen or what could come up, but always be willing and prepared to pivot no matter what can come up. Always having a backup option, always knowing what is possible. Now, I'm not telling you to go into every booking and being like, worst case scenario, what do you want to do? because you're just going to panic that person. And people that don't travel as often as us are not comfortable in those kind of situations to make those decisions. But you having the adaptability to know what makes sense is what's important, and knowing what your off sales are for anything. So anytime you learn about a new destination or a new product, think about what you can off sell someone from to that product, and vice versa. So if they love that product, where you can switch something to them, right? So things to think about. And then, of course, sustainability concerns come up, of course, and conscious consumer choices. I have seen a little bit of this. It was very prevalent a few years ago, a little bit more. It's happening a bit now, but people are just curious about the sustainability of different properties and what people are doing for those options. Know that most hotels will have it marked whether what their sustainable options are and what they do for sustainability. Same with the cruise ships. A lot of them are very proud of it because it's a certification they have to get, but keeping that in mind, because some people really care about this. I shouldn't say, that was a weird way to say that. You should care about it, but some people are very passionate about it and want to know that, and it's important to their decision making. So just having an idea of what's going on in any of these factors is really important. And then, of course, any like currency fluctuations, again, I kind of talked about this before, but can affect your travel or pretty significantly if you're not prepared for conversion rates and things like that. So these are not like pre-planned, like preventative maintenance. These are like things to keep in the back of your brain at any point in time, things that might come up and could be relevant to the situation you're in or the situation your clients are in. So just keeping these always in the back of your brain is really important. So, hold please. Again, how can you adapt to these things? So all the issues, especially we were just talking about, because you can't control a pandemic, you cannot control economic unrest, things like that. What we can do is try to develop specialized packages tailored to the current travel trends. We kind of already talked about this. Getting ahead of the game, seeing if ecotourism is big, pull some things together for this. If cruising is big, pull things, make sure you're learning about cruises and deals and things that are happening that you could sell. Also, I'm a big believer, and we kind of already talked about this earlier. I'm just jumping right to the next one. Focus on storytelling and, of course, digital content marketing to showcase unique travel experiences. Creating a story around a destination is what buys people into it. Hard stop. So many people, when they see, I know I do it myself. When I see a destination I want to go to online, I was like, oh my God, I can see myself just enjoying a little book on that bed on the beach and just relaxing and zoning out. Or they see themselves walking around Prague during the Christmas markets, or they see themselves, going to the Great Wall of China. People want to visualize themselves in these destinations. So one, when you're having conversations and trying to get people on board to something that they weren't maybe planning to do or weren't thinking about doing, or it's a shift outside their comfort zone, making it a story, bringing them in on it, knowing who's traveling with them so you could bring them in on it too. So like, it's like, oh, can you picture it? You and your mother are just walking down the streets of Prague, enjoying what's popular in there. What I love about the Czech Republic, they bake orange rinds and dip them in chocolate. Ugh, I guess a lot of people do, but they're very yummy from there. Anyways, but like you build that story for them. Oh, you could be having this. You could be enjoying a coffee or a cafe au lait on the streets of France. I don't know. You build these stories, you put them in the place, you let them visualize themselves there, you show them the rooms, you show them the experiences, and then get that story built in their head. So one, that actually just really helps with decision making from them. They're more than likely to say yes when they can see themselves in it, but also it just builds an environment for them. They're excited about it and they're more comfortable well, it really ties to what I said, but like it's more comfortable in saying yes with such a huge financial decision when they can see themselves in the environment. And then also think of storytelling when you are doing digital content marketing. I know we talked about automation of that earlier and how you could use AI to kind of build these experiences, but you could even put into AI, hey, I want to build a digital campaign about the new icon of the seas for Royal Caribbean, about generational families traveling together, build a social post for this social format and this social format and this social format, and it'll create this content. Then you go through and edit it, make sure it makes sense, and you put the imagery, and it should be images for the families you're trying to bring in, right? So for this example, if you're trying to get generational families, show a little image of grandma and the grandkid like waiting to go on the roller coaster on a Carnival cruise or whatever. I'm just making making up different options. But like, think about those things. What's on the new icon? There's a bunch of really cool things in the new icon of the seas that you could like get those images to put them into place. So it puts their head in that space. It puts them there, and building your content around that and telling a little bit of story with that is really important. I'm also a big proponent to having like a weekly story. So it's like showing them in a coffee shop on here, showing them on in the pool, showing them in destinations so they can see all the experiences, get a full story for them. And then collaborate with local communities and suppliers to offer more personalized and ethical travel experiences. What do I mean by this? So, a couple things. One, just get out in your community and start experiences. We actually just had an advisor within our own network that just had a great little Italy experience that she built, and she did that to bring more consumers in for her and also to start selling Italy. You can do this for a multitude of different things. Whether this is, say, and I'll use Italy as an example again, but say you have an Italy DMC or supplier you like to use, you reach out to them, speak with their business development team, see when they're going to be in and around, or if they even have the availability to come in out and help you. If they do, then go maybe to I don't know if you live in an area that has a total wine, a lot of those will have a space where you can use for free, and they'll do free wine tastings in there. You can bring a group of people in, you can bring some snacks in, make a little wine experience and tie it into a destination. Even if you can't get a supplier, just get some collateral from them so you can sell their product while you're there and you can speak to it yourself. Or for example, you can start like you could have like a cruise night somewhere, and it could be something that there's little to no cost for you to set up space, but you're getting involved in bringing people there and having friends being friends, and talking about travel and talking about what you want to sell. But I'm a big because I was a supplier, reach out to suppliers. So often we want to help or send things or be there, so reaching out to these people to see if you can have these experiences and build it around. So if you're looking for an expert like experiential kind of experience, and you want somebody that does like a really in-depth tour, and I don't know, I'm over talking right now, but for example, if you want to sell to college age really experienced tourists, maybe you reach out to G Adventure, say, hey, what do you have that I can sell? What collateral you have that I can bring these kids together, get them in a place and see that there's a really cool product that you have and I want them to be involved. Things like that. And also, you just even in your local communities, I see so many people doing different things in their communities now that was never an option before. For me, I feel like it was all just bridal shows. But there are so many cool things and so many cool community events that you can be setting yourself up at, and keep it on theme, right? So if you're going to something that's holiday themed with the holidays coming up, have it be river cruises that go through the Christmas markets. Have it be I don't know, it could be a lot of different things. That could be holidays in Disney, whatever it may be. Like, trying to think outside the box a little bit and bring different ideas in when you're kind of getting into these areas. And then, of course, there's leading through change. So, like, the one that was kind of how to get through all the change, but how do you lead through it? If you have a team or ICs yourself, biggest thing is communication and transparency. Something we say in our organization with each other all the time is radical truth and radical transparency. It comes from a book called Principles by Ray. I have this right here, Dalio. And what that means is you just have to put it all out there, good, bad, or indifferent, right? Being comfortable doing so. So make sure there's open lines of communication between you and your team and you and your consumers, your clients, and especially during times of uncertainty. If you're uncomfortable or you don't know what's happening, be honest with them. Hey, we are in a weird spot. I don't know what this is going to be. I don't know where we're going to be at, but we're going to get through it. And here's our action plan for the current time, right? Be honest. Don't shut yourself out and not want to have these conversations, because then they're not going to trust you. You want to make sure you have the trust and make sure they feel comfortable to be honest with you in these, especially, the pandemic was a real eye opener to these kind of situations, right? Oh, what do I do? Where should we go? What could we do? And so many people were too afraid to answer anything, and it led to such chaos. So anytime I had to speak it to anyone during that time period, I was like, listen, I do not have the answer right now. I'm going to do my best to find it, but I don't have it. And I want to be honest with you so you're comfortable with where we're at. But as soon as I know, I'm going to let you know. And that's just how you kind of handle those things. Of course, always share your vision for navigating your industry. So anything that you are thinking of or you're working on, again, open communication with your team is incredibly important, so they know that you're working on it. You know that you're thinking about it, even if you don't have the answer yet. That's the biggest thing. And involve the team in the decision-making process. If there's something that's coming up where you're like thinking of branching out into a different market, talk to them about it. Are you guys comfortable? Does anyone want to become an expert in this? Is anyone thinking about this and was afraid to? Does anyone know anything already that I don't know? So being open and having them part of the decision-making process for anything is really important. Awesome. Leading your change, a big way to help with this is empowerment and training. So offer constant ongoing training. There's a ton of free training available to you. If you reach out to your supplier partners, their BDMs are more than excited to offer training to individuals, even if it's digital. Of course, they love to be in person, but so there's teams are smaller now post-pandemic. So some are bigger. They're not as scaled down, but just have conversations with your supplier partners, sees what's available. There might already be some pre-recorded things you can offer. Reach out to your consortiums and see what they have available to you, your consortia, see what's available that you can offer in that sense. Or if you're part of a host agency, see what they have available. There's so much digital content out right there. People are so active with in-person events anymore. Making sure that yourself, your ICs, your employees are trained up so they know what's going on, so they're aware of everything that's happening. Also, I'm a big believer just to make sure that they're part. When I get into consumer trends and industry tools, make sure you're subscribed at the very least, like on LinkedIn or on Facebook, to industry trades, so you know what's going on in the industry. Big changes that have happened. Like I know I brought this up last week, but you may not know that they just released, now they're no longer going to charge a fee if you have more than one device going into Mexico. That's a big deal. Knowing those things happen, you wouldn't know them if you're not subscribed to the trades and keeping involved, or at least in social groups of like-minded individuals. So making sure you're in those spaces. Provide platforms for feedback so that they can say, hey, I learned this, or I found this out for my client after they traveled. So there's a space where you can also learn and grow from. So even internally, so when they go to these trainings, they can bring things back. You don't need to send your whole team to a training every time. You don't need to yourself to go to every training if someone else is going to a training. So even if you don't have a team yourself, if you have a group of advisors that you are friends with, that you keep on good terms with, speaking with, have a space where you can give feedback. Hey, I went to this training, I learned this. Hey, you just went to that, can you tell me about it? Keeps your brain going, keeps things coming in and out pretty frequently. So just things to think about. Now, building resilience. This is also really important. So I kind of offshoot talk about this before, but I feel pretty passionate about this. I did a whole session on growth mindset. What helps in moments of uncertainty and change is having a growth mindset and being willing to be uncomfortable and being willing to think outside the box and providing a space where they feel comfortable to be in a growth mindset. So encourage not, oh, I can't fix this attitude, to what can I do to help this? What can we do to make this better kind of attitude? If you are not sure what growth mindset is, I did a whole session just on it. If it was a really good one, go back, watch it. It is in the Facebook group. Focus on adaptability, being willing to change. Like I said, I know it's difficult. We don't want to change in this industry, but you have to. And learn from challenges. Never be afraid for messing up. I mess up constantly. I messed up this week, and I didn't let it get me down. I didn't let it frustrate me. I went, what can I learn from this? And immediately I went, oh, I know what I should have done. I knew it immediately. So because I took, and not in the moment, ooh, was I mad in the moment? Well, when I took a minute and went back and realized this was a challenge, what did I miss from it? I went, oh, I know what I should have done. So, and now I'll never do it differently. I'll always do it that way. And that's really important. And being willing to understand that there are going to be a lot of times when you're wrong, and being willing to adapt after that. And then this is a big one for me, and I bring this up with my team often. Mental health and work-life balance are incredibly important. I'm not saying I'm always the best at utilizing it, but trying to take the time yourself, trying to shut off when you can shut off, trying to remove yourself when you can, and keep the team motivated and productive. But showing your investment in your team and saying to him, hey, you take this break, don't do this, I got this for you. Or showing that you do that as well, not abusing it, not never being there, but taking the minutes for yourself, taking the time. In this industry, we're very guilty of wanting to be available all the time to our clients because of the nature of the business. But you will burn out incredibly fast when you do that. And I see a really healthy trend more recently of experienced advisors setting strict hours, And then they have policies and procedures in place for after hours help, but trying to set those boundaries because your mental health, if it is not in the right place, it will affect the way you are operating with your clients. It'll affect the way you're booking your trips. It'll affect your like your risk management because you won't be paying attention to things as much that you were before. It is incredibly important to make sure your head is in the right place and you're, again, focusing on a growth mindset, doing the right things for yourself. So always, always, always take the time for yourself. Self-care is incredibly important, even if self-care is just staring at a wall for a few hours. It's not staring at your computer. So just that's how you build that resilience. That's how you build that thick skin. That's how you get to those places, by having a healthy outside of work mentality as well. And that's it, guys. I ended a little early today. Not too early, but and this was, it's a different kind of topic, right? So it's kind of just talking about how to be prepared for these and what you can do and how to adjust. But really, it's just the importance of adaptability. Please, if you have any questions or any, just pop it in the chat. I'm gonna hang out for a bit. My name and email are on there if you did want to jump off, because I know it's later for some of you, but I will stay on for a few. And I hope you all enjoyed kind of what we talked about tonight. No, thank you, Peggy. Thank you for coming. And if you have any thoughts about this, if you completely disagree with me, I always say, good, bad, sarcastic remarks, pop them in here. I say this often, but I love being wrong because then I know more than I did when I was wrong. So that's a really healthy way to think of things. But this is a tough thing because I can't tell you what the change you're going to have to adapt to is going to be. I can't tell you the disruption that's going to run into place. I can only assume. I can only make take some data driven decisions and say what has happened in the past. But what you can do is take some of the things, like I said, for adapting in those moments and kind of apply it to your work in the current space and how you can adjust your business and what makes sense. So it's just, it's a different topic. It's something different to think about, but it can be a scary topic because people don't want to think about the resistance of things. People don't want to think about hurricanes coming through and what you're going to have to do in those moments and what your plan of action is for that. You don't want to think about 24-hour care and what you have to do for those. And are you looking into those options with your suppliers for when your clients are in destination? There's a lot of things that come up that there's so many different moving parts when you're booking travel to think about, and just being adaptable, and also kind of just still going back, setting up automation, setting up your business so you have the time to focus on these things so you're not distracted by the other things will be incredibly helpful for you. So I'll hang out for a minute or two. Actually, I'll hang out for about 5 minutes. So if anyone has any questions, if not, feel free to jump off. Just thank you so much for the time. Thank you for spending your hour with me tonight. And like I said earlier, we will be off for the next few weeks, but we will be back. I believe it is, hold on, let me jump out of the ooh, stop share. We jump out of this here and see. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Jerry Lynn. Thank you, Alicia. Thanks for stopping in, guys. When I'm coming back, let me just see here. Let's look at the calendar. I believe the first week back is the November 21st. So it's the week before Thanksgiving. Thank you, Alicia. And I'm also probably not gonna have one Thanksgiving, but maybe we'll bump that one to Wednesday. I don't know, we'll think about it, but then it'll be all of December again. So I love doing this with you guys. I hope you're enjoying the content. If you have any ideas for future episodes, let me know. I know some ideas that it came up last week was like kind of succession conversations and what that will look like and planning for your future after your business. We talked about, what were some other things we talked about? Let me go back here to my notes. There were some really good ones last week that I wrote down. Oh, qualifying clients. We're going to get into that. I wrote that one down. Or if you get, that succession, we also talk about like if you get sick, what do you do in those situations? How do you handle it, especially if you're independent? We're going to do a whole session on embracing technology and automation and those kind of things, as well as your branding and how you can brand your business. So some different things coming up. I also have some other ones planned already that are in the pipeline. So whenever I leave my what comes next now in the hands of Andrea, who helps me out. She's an angel. But there's some other things coming up, like as far as embracing delegation, like letting go of control, maximizing partnerships with your supplier partners. I think that's a huge one. So there's a lot coming up, but Well, I thank you all so much. It doesn't seem like anybody has any questions tonight. Thank you for spending your time with me. I love spending it with all of you. I will not see you next week. So happy Halloween if you celebrate. If not, just enjoy the evening, enjoy the week. And I hope you all have a wonderful few weeks. And I cannot wait to see you again in another few. So if you have any questions, reach out. If not, thank you so much, guys. I really love this hour. So I can't wait to see you again. Thank you.